All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Always fun to be back.
Today, we are going to be looking at a very, very famous thought experiment from the world of ethics.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. It's called the Trolley Problem. And
Buckle up.
yeah, buckle up. You know the one, right?
Yeah.
Runaway trolley. It's barreling down the tracks. There are 5 people tied to the tracks.
Oh, no.
Then there's a side track with 1 person tied to it, and you've got the lever.
Classic.
Do you pull the lever to divert the trolley, saving the 5 but killing the 1?
Yeah.
Or do you just let it run its course?
Right.
So what do you think right off the bat?
It's such a good thought experiment because it really gets at the heart of, like, what do we value? Do we value inaction over action? Are all lives equal?
Yep.
Do we start quantifying and being like, well, 5 is definitely more than 1, so that's the way to go. You really got to think about it.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty firmly, in the pull the lever camp. 5 for 1, right?
Okay.
I mean, that's saving the majority.
Okay, so you're coming at this from a very utilitarian perspective.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, the greatest good for the greatest number.
Yeah, minimizing harm.
Yeah.
Right. Isn't that what we should be aiming for as like a moral society?
I get that. I mean, it's very logical. It's very numbers based. Very like, okay, we can quantify this and this is how we decide.
Right.
But I think it misses something.
No.
I think it misses this element of like, are you then responsible
What do you mean?
for that 1 death?
Well, I'm saving 5.
I know, but you are actively choosing to end someone's life.
I think it's more complicated.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more complicated. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying I have the answer, but Are we comfortable saying 5 lives are inherently worth more than 1?
I mean, I think in this situation, yeah, we are, because you're choosing between...
It's tough.
Yeah, it's a thought experiment for sure.
It is. I mean, I think it'd be very difficult to be in that position.
Absolutely.
In real life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think if we're talking hypothetically, putting aside all of the emotional baggage that would come with that, I think pulling the lever is the right choice.
And you wouldn't feel any guilt, any moral responsibility?
I mean, obviously it would be a horrific situation to be in.
Right.
But I think I would be able to justify it by knowing that I saved 5 other people.
Okay.
Who would otherwise have died.
Okay.
So there's actually another variation.
Oh, yeah.
On this.
There's a lot of variations.
Yeah, there's a lot of variations. I think this one's called the fat man problem.
Mm-hmm.
So this time, it's the same setup trolley. 5 people on one track, 1 on the other.
Yep.
But you're standing on a bridge over the track.
Okay.
Next to a very, very large person.
Oh, no.
You know where this is going.
Oh.
And the only way to stop the trolley is to push this person off the bridge.
Oh, my God.
Onto the tracks to stop the trolley.
No.
So now it's not just pulling a lever. It's like physically pushing someone to their death.
So you're saying you're fine with the lever, but now you're bringing in this, like...
I don't know how I feel about that one.
It's getting a little more hands-on.
It's getting very hands-on. It's getting very...
It's a little too close for comfort now.
Yeah, very much.
So the utilitarian principle maybe goes out the window here because it's like, oh, now I have to be like the one who's murdering this person.
Right, right.
Even if it is to save 5 other people. Yeah.
I think that changes things, and I think that probably speaks to...
I think it does.
Our, like, innate sense of, like, morality in that, like, pulling a lever feels very removed.
It's like a machine, right?
Yeah. Whereas, like, physically pushing someone...
You're getting your hands dirty.
Yeah.
You are, like, that is much more difficult, I think, for a lot of people.
Okay, so let me throw another one at you. What if, in the original scenario, the one person on the sidetrack was your sibling?
Oh.
Or your best friend, or your parent, or your child?
That's rough.
Does that change anything?
I mean, come on. I don't know. You're really hitting me where it hurts.
I know, right?
I don't know. I think that would be so difficult. I think, you know, I like to think that I'm a very logical person and I would be able to separate
the emotion.
Yeah, the emotion from it and still think about it in that utilitarian way.
Right.
But like I'm human. Yeah. And I don't know if I could actually do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that brings in the like emotional element to this, which is impossible to like fully quantify.
Absolutely. I think it also speaks to something really interesting about like how much do we value different lives?
Right.
Because it's very easy to look at this as an equation when...
Like strangers.
Strangers, 5 strangers versus 1 stranger. Like it's very easy to be like, oh, 5 is more than 1.
Yeah.
But when you bring in people that you know and love and you have that personal connection,
yeah,
I think it gets a lot harder.
Absolutely. I think that's a great point.
So maybe we should abandon utilitarianism completely.
Maybe. Okay, last variation, I swear.
Hit me.
What if in the original scenario, you weren't 100% certain that pulling the lever would actually save the 5 people?
Oh.
Like, what if the lever was old or maybe the track was damaged and you weren't sure if it would properly divert the trolley?
Okay, so now we're bringing in doubt, we're bringing in uncertainty.
Right. So does that...
I think that changes it a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer a sure thing.
Right.
Like, are you willing to risk one life if there's a chance that you might not even save the other 5?
Right.
That's a whole other level of moral complexity, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely adds another layer to it.
Yeah.
So I guess after all these different variations and things, it kind of seems like there's not really a right answer to the trolley problem.
That's the thing about the trolley problem. It's not really about finding the right answer.
Right.
It's more about the process of thinking through these ethical dilemmas.
Right. And like examining your own value.
Like, what are your priorities? What principles are you operating by?
Yeah.
Are you more of a utilitarian? Are you more focused on like individual rights?
Right.
Like, it really forces you to confront those questions.
And it's not just a fun brain teaser.
Yeah.
Right. It's like these sorts of dilemmas.
I mean, they're fun.
They are fun to think about.
But they're also like relevant to real life.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not to this extent, hopefully. You never know.
Yeah.
But I think we're constantly faced with smaller versions of this.
Yeah.
Like in our everyday lives.
Yeah, like making decisions where we have to weigh different values, different priorities, and figure out what the best course of action is.
Exactly.
And sometimes there isn't a clear right answer.
Sometimes there's no good answer.
Right.
And you just have to do the best you can.
Yeah. So what do you think our listeners should take away from this deep dive?
I think they should take away the importance of really examining their own moral compass.
Yeah.
Thinking through these things before they're faced with them. Because you never know when you might be confronted with a difficult decision.
Yeah. And maybe not involving a runaway trolley. Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
But something.
That's something similar.
Yeah, where you have to really weigh your options and figure out what your priorities are.
Okay. I have one final thought for our listeners to ponder.
Oh, good.
Here.
Let's hear it.
Is inaction in the face of these kinds of dilemmas as much of a choice as taking action?
Oh.
Does it carry the same weight of responsibility?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I think that's something worth thinking about.
Yeah, because we often frame these things as like, do you intervene or do you not intervene?
Right.
But not intervening is still
a choice.
A choice.
A choice with consequences.
Exactly. All right. Thanks for joining us for this trolley problem deep dive.
That's a good one.
We'll be back next time with something completely different.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.